Good afternoon, all. My name is Keith Cordice, and I'm the manager here at Ferndale Ready Mix and a close friend of Jim's for the last 10 years. And got to know him quite well through business relationships and so forth. And Arlen has asked me to say a few words about Jim's years here in Whatcom County, especially the last 10 since I've known him. And I'm really honored to be able to do so. Really wish I could be with you here this weekend to remember Jim and all that he done and how he touched our lives. However, my daughter's a senior in high school and she's looking at colleges, and so we have to be gone this weekend looking at a school back in Iowa, so wish I could be with you. I first met Jim at a Lowe's project. At least that's my first memory, in Bellingham, when we were supplying concrete to that job, and right away we kind of hit it off. And I think deep down inside, one of the things that we connected with was we were kind of both farm boys at heart. I grew up on a vegetable growing type farm. Jim grew up in the open prairies of the South Dakota and so forth, and we were just both farm boys at heart. We could relate with each other that way. I think it also helped that I myself went to school back in those days, back in Iowa, my college days, and so I drove back and forth through South Dakota many a time, and I could relate with a lot of the different towns and places he was talking about from all my many drives through there. And so I think he kind of liked that he could talk to somebody that kind of had a little bit of an idea what South Dakota was all about. Jim was really passionate about all that he did, whether it was concrete testing or concrete pumping before that, or getting involved in the gravel mining business. When he went in with both feet, and he really just had a passion about whatever he felt he was doing was really important, and I really appreciated that in him, because he really took concern about all that he was doing. When he went into the gravel mining business, of course he was asking me a lot of questions just by nature, because we were in that business too, and I wasn't the best expert at the time, but you know, those around me that in our organization, I brought them in to kind of help hold Jim's hand and to get through that whole process and so forth. And we all come to appreciate him a lot for what he was trying to do out there on the Brown Road. And you just can't help but smile looking back on how the bureaucratic hoops that you have to jump through in this whole deal. He hated that. I mean, it just drove the man nuts that it seemed you could get through one hoop and there'd be 3 more that were created that you had to jump through, or there was hearings, or there was, you know, it was endless, and it just drove the poor man nuts. But I think that probably added 10 years to the age of his life, because he was just put him through a lot. But it was good to see finally that he was successful in getting that whole thing put together. And then, of course, the unfortunate thing, the economy just tanked after that, and that was just, it was too bad that happened that way. But I guess even in those tough times, he really tried to keep a positive spin on the whole thing and tried to keep the thing going the best he could. It put us in a unique position to come in as a company to come alongside and purchase the property from Jim and Arlen at that time, and it really worked out well. And I guess it says a lot, I think, about Jim and how even under such trying, stressful times and unfortunate circumstances, our friendship not only maintained, but it even grew through all that. And that was said a lot about Jim, because those kind of things were really important to him, and as well as they were to me too. And to go through such a tough time period and to come out of the other side of it, that he worked for us as a consultant doing safety and environmental stuff for Ferndale Ready Mix, we really appreciate it, because we needed somebody to help along those lines, and it worked out really well for us on our end. And our guys really appreciated Jim for that. Probably one of the things most appreciated about Jim was he was just a no-nonsense, non-corporate guy. And when you're in a corporate world like we're in, and you got people upstairs that are looking for answers on this and that and so forth, Jim just had a way about him just to put it really simple, and it would make the guys really laugh about you know, the way he would answer things, because they would all just kind of look at him like, well, that makes too much sense, you can't do that. So it was I can't tell you how many times we sat around a table and with meetings with other corporate people, and he would have these answers, and they would just like, yeah, they really appreciated him for that. So I really loved having Jim too for my carpool buddy, going down to the many trips I had down to Seattle and so forth for various meetings. It was always good to have him in the car, and I got to learn a lot about the family through those times. I mean, you spend an hour or 2 hours in the car together and going back and forth, and I'll say this, that he really loved his kids a lot and spoke highly of all of you, Glenn and Valerie and Laura. I feel like I know you guys, and yet I've never met you. That's the irony of the whole deal. I was hoping maybe to meet you this weekend, and unfortunately it didn't work that way. But you know, I feel like I know you guys and your kids and so forth, and what you guys have all done, and where you guys in your lives. I mean, Jim would brag about you guys. I can't say that enough. I mean, every trip it seemed like we went down that way, or just throughout the county, your names would come up, and you know what was going on in your lives in one fashion or another. And so you guys were on his mind a lot, and that really showed, and it just tells you what kind of a individual he was. Unfortunately, I think it was in 2010, that's when he had his first major, what I would call his major health concern, and that was a good scare. It got my attention too, and it took a little bit out of Jim as far as physically, what he all could do and what he really wanted to do. Mentally, he was sharp as a tack. I think we all know that, but it definitely took an edge off of him, and he slowed down a bit after that. And so, and he recovered from that, but he just didn't recover all the way. And so, when he got hit again here in 2012 with more issues and stuff, it definitely started slowing him down, and I could tell that. You know, the days were probably starting to be numbered, and I really wanted to spend as much time as I could with him, and I really appreciated the times we did spend together. And I'm going to say probably back in, it was probably December, early December, late November, I finally had a good heart-to-heart with Jim. And, you know, I asked him where he stood with his Lord. And we were sitting in my office, and I says, Jim, I says, I got to know where you stand, because I says, you got to get right with the Lord if you're not. And we had a really good talk, and I know for myself, I'm going to be singing in glory with him. And Jim knew the love of Jesus Christ in his heart, and he knew why he was going to be there. And I know that as a fact, and I know I'm going to be there with him someday, and I just hope and pray that you as family and friends saw that in his life. I know Jim wasn't a churchgoer. He didn't do that type of thing in his life, but he did read his Bible. He knew where he stood, and he knew why he stood there. And I would challenge each of you to think about that in your lives as well, where you stand. And I'm available if you ever want to talk some more. But it was very comforting for me, and I at that point was ready to let Jim go in peace. Up to that point, I was struggling in my own life where he stood and everything. But boy, once I had that knowledge and satisfaction, that was really that really made it a lot easier for me for when he did pass. And Arlene, you and I have talked about this too, and you know, I am praying for you as well in this whole process. And as in all our travels back and forth around the county and back and forth to Arlene, I just wanted to let you know that Jim was just loved you to the nth degree. He was so concerned about the day he passed and you making that transition in life, and just trying to make sure everything was in order, and I think he did pretty well. And I just can't tell you how often he spoke of you. As much as we spoke about the kids, we spoke more about you, and just wanted to make sure that you were taken care of, and he just loved you to unbelievable. And I just wanted to express that to you at this time as well. So many others that are sitting in the room today that are sitting there, and I know Jim spoke a lot about you folks as well, and he had always something good to say. It was pretty rare that Jim spoke ill will of anybody. It really was, because he really cared. He really wanted to try to make things work out the best he could, and I'm proud to be called a friend of his, and I'm glad I could be able to just speak a few words about his basically the last 10 years, and especially the last 4 or 5 years where we really spent a lot of time together and stuff. So I hope the rest of this day goes well for you folks, and you just can sit back and enjoy the good memories of Jim, and reflect on the good times that you had with him, because that's what I've done ever since he's passed. I've just reflected on a lot of good times and memories that I've had with him, and I just sincerely would challenge each of you to think about his walk in his life, and where he is now, and where you are in your lives as well. So thanks again for this time. Appreciate it.